Hi, my name is Corinne Vinipole. I'm president of the Institute for Disabilities Research and Training, known as IDRT, and we are the developers of a website called My ASL Tech. What I would like to do today is to show you how My ASL Tech works. Give me 1 second, and I'm going to move it to screen share. Hopefully you all can see the screen right now. So if you want to reach My ASL Tech, there are 2 ways to do it. One, you can go to idrt.com and you can find it here on the black toolbar, or you can go directly to myasltech.com. Now, the purpose of this website is to make your life a lot easier. How do we do that, you say? Well, this website has more than 20 apps that help you build your own instructional and informational materials with ASL graphics and videos. So this is the homepage for My ASL Tech. Now, to access everything, there are 2 ways. One, you can go right here to this login, and if you're a member, you just click there and a screen will pop up like this that tells you to put in your email address and also your password. So I'm going to sign in. Okay, now you know that you're signed in because this changes to log out and that red box that was here disappears. Another way you can log in is any of these buttons that say Access Now. If you haven't been logged in before and you know which of these tools you want to use, you can go right directly to it. Now, as I said, each of these are an app or a tool. Some of them, like this one, is a group of apps. All of these are connected to a central database, and the database grows almost every day. Right now, there's over 12,300 entries in the database. These represent words, numbers, letters, symbols, phrases, idioms, etc. So let me show you a little bit about these. We're going to go into the first app. This is My ASL Dictionary. I'm going to click right here, Access Now, and you're going to see this screen often. So this screen is the categories menu. This all here represents the 12,300 entries, but we also have subdivisions. So if you ever want to use an app with only maybe food words, you can go here, and this is a subset of the all. Now let me click here and show you how to access each of these entries. So you have 2 ways to do it. You can scroll here. So here's the word fear. Or you can just type and the word will pop up. Now, each of the entries in the database has 3 graphics and 2 videos. So this is one of the graphics. This is the main graphic. And you see that you have the sign, a concept picture, and the English word. So that's, you can access right here. You also can get the sign only or the concept graphic only this way. Now, if you want to print these, you can click on this button, Print. I'm going to move me here for a second so you can see a little bit better. Here's my printer. So I can print here, or I can also save it to PDF. Now, the value of a PDF would be that you can save it on your hard drive and then import it into any document that will accept a PDF, like a Google Doc or Microsoft Office product. And so you can do that right here. You also can change some of these. So I'm going to move this. Here's color. You could change that to black and white. If you change the settings right here, you can change the size. Like I could make this 200. So you have some options. Now remember with the dictionary, each time you're printing one of each thing. Now you also have videos. You have a sign video. Now, if you want to use this video, see these three little dots? If you click right here, you can download it onto your computer. And again, you could email it to a parent, you could embed it into any document that will accept a video. So that's what it's there for. You also have an English definition here and an ASL definition. Again, there's those three dots. Okay, so you can change that. Now let me show you something else. Let's say we have a word like set. Okay, I'm going to take it back here to the graphic. Now you know that set has many different signs depending upon the context. For example, this would be the set for an area. Set as an establish, like I set up my company, a group of things, set your hair, etc. You will notice in that long list here, there's some words in parentheses that help you distinguish and choose which set you want to use. You also can work in the opposite direction. So just now we had the English word set, many signs. But let's say we want to know this sign. Are there other English words that share that sign? Here, if I click on same sign words, you will notice that all of these words here are sharing that sign. So you see the dictionary will help you work in both directions. Okay, let's go back now. We're going to go to the next app. So the next one I want to show you is the sign generator. Now the purpose of the sign generator is to provide sign supports for reading. It will not give you straight ASL, and that's why it's not called my ASL generator. Okay. Right now, you cannot generate pure ASL in real time. So we're going to generate sign supports in real time. I'm going to click Access Now. Now you can put your text right here, an unlimited amount of text. And you could put it in by typing, or you could copy and paste it from maybe a Word doc or the internet. You also can even scan it in. For example, I had a book one time and I just ran a pen scanner over it and poof, went right in. So let's take a sentence and put it in here. Let's see. The dinosaur ran out of the house. Now, there are two ways I can generate. One, I can click here, or I can just click enter and poof. Okay, we have sign supports. Now, any word that's yellow means there's more than one sign. Remember that dictionary? We had that set, had all those different signs. Well, we have the same thing here for ran. So I can look here and choose the one that I want. So I want this one. Out of, for example, has more than one sign. So we can have out of meaning like I ran out of milk, I don't have enough, or I exited. So we're going to pick this one. Now there are other ways that we can customize this. Say, for example, you go, the isn't used much in ASL. I think I want to hide that. You click, you can choose hide. Or maybe you decide, I think I'd like to fingerspell that. And I can click fingerspell. Maybe I want to hide the punctuation. And maybe the word house, I think I'd rather my students be able to see a concept picture. So you have different ways to support this. So each word you can support and customize according to what your student needs. So here's that fingerspelled word we did before. Again, you can print over here, save as PDF. You also can generate a video. So let's click here. Dinosaur ran out of THE for the house. Now, here's those 3 dots again. You want to save that on your computer. You can click there and download. You also, for many of these apps, have storage in the Amazon cloud. Now, let's say I was working at home. I made something, and then I want to get it back at school. Well, of course, at school, you probably have a different computer. But if I stored it in my bank in the cloud, I can retrieve it. If I put save here, I can name this. Let's call this Dinosaur Goes Out of. I'm going to click OK. So let's pretend I did this at home. Clear. Okay. Now I'm back at school. I want to get it back. If I click this load, this is going to take me up to the Amazon workspace where my banks are being saved. And so here's my sign generator bank. And these are all my files. If I go down, here's that dinosaur goes out of the house. Now I can open it back up, or I could delete it. So let's open it back up. And there it is, exactly the way I put it. Now, here's something else interesting. I can also link my bank with any other member anywhere in the world if the 2 of us agree. So I have linked my bank with one of our programmers named Teddy. I'm going to click load, and I'm going to go down to Teddy's bank, and here it is. Now you notice that that little icon for delete is not there in Teddy's bank. So I can't mess up anything in Teddy's bank. But because the 2 of us agreed to link, I can open up something that he made. And if I like it, I can save it in my bank. I can download it on my computer. I can even tweak it up and fix it so it matches the needs of my students. Okay, so you've got a lot of options here for what you do with this. So while we're at it, let me go back up and show you. So I'm going back up here to the main menu. This little button is what helps you find colleagues. So I'm going to click here. And you can set up a profile. You can put in your role, your affiliation, any comments you want. For example, you can say, I'm working with 3rd grade, or I'm working with deaf-blind students, or I'm working with a certain curriculum. Whatever you want to look for common denominators with other people that you link up with. Now you'll notice down here, these are the people I linked with. So these are actually our 2 programmers, and we were testing, of course. But if I want to invite someone, I can click right here on this button. Now, all the people on the left are people who said, hey, you know, I'm available, link up with me. And you could go directly here and link up. Or if you know someone, say, for example, there's several teachers at your school who are using this tool, and you want to network everybody in the school, you could send invitations this way. If you ever get an invitation, you can either accept it or reject it. Okay? So it's not an automatic. But once you accept your banks, you can share, just like I showed you how I share with Teddy. Okay? Let's go back. Now, we also have a concept generator. This works just like the sign generator, only it's just concept pictures. And the reason we did that is because some of our teachers, particularly itinerant teachers, are working in classes where they're both deaf and hearing students. So if you only want concept pictures, and instead of tweaking up every word like we did in the sign generator to get the concept pictures, I could do that here. And here we have it. Okay, just simple. And this one has a bank too. So let's say you're working with hearing and deaf children. You could take the same text, paste in the sign generator, paste it in the concept generator, and you have two instantaneous communications for the same text. Now I'm going to skip down. I'm going to skip over the games for a second and show you the publisher. So the publisher is like the ultimate customizing tool. So you remember with the dictionary, you can print one thing at a time, but with the publisher, you can design anything. So let me show you how it works. I'm going to click Access Now. Now be careful because there's a lot of scroll bars. So of course, we've got the one here on the side to move the whole thing. You've got a scroll bar here and a scroll bar here. Be real careful with this thing on your mouse because sometimes it'll make it zoom out of the picture and it's hard to get back. Now, let's say we want an image from the dictionary. Now, remember, we have over 12,000 entries right now. So that means there are over 36,000 graphics for us to choose from. So let me go in here using this button. This is my canvas here. So I'm going to click. And maybe I want a transportation picture. So let's see, I'm going to do airplane. Now I can get this picture, or this picture. Well, let's say I want this one. Now, do you remember in the dictionary, we did not have this button. This button only shows up in my ASL publisher. And this will help us import that picture onto the canvas. I'm going to click Import. This little pop-up comes up, says click anywhere on your canvas to insert this image. Okay. So here's the canvas. I'm going to click and poof, there it is. Now you all know how to resize. So I'm going to resize. I'm going to move it around. Whenever you see that little dotted line, that means that's the image that I'm controlling at the moment. And this little button here is the move tool. So if you want to change what you're dealing with, you click on this and then click on the one you want. Now, there are a lot of things you can do with this. I'm going to do a little resize again. This one will let you draw. You can do straight lines. You can do squares, circles, weird shapes. This one has lots of icons. So you can use these icons or click any of these submenus for icons. So let's say we want a happy face. Here we go. Now, maybe I want to color my happy face. If you scroll down, you will notice at the bottom, you can control colors. This little paint can here lets you choose the color to pour into your image. So notice there's that little X right now, which means there's nothing there. So I'm going to click and I can choose any color I want, wherever I want. So maybe I want it green. This one will do the outline. So I'm going to click here and I think I want maybe a bluish purple. And there it is. Okay, so that works with coloring. You also can add text. If I click there, of course my screen jumped. What do you figure? Now, when you do text, let me move me for a minute. you will notice that another scroll bar appears up at the top. If I pull that down, I can change the text. So I can change it to bold or italic. These are the colors. I can change the font, the size. Okay, I can also change colors down the bottom. So you have a lot of options. There's all kinds of tools here. You also, if we go back up to the top, I'm going to move me again. Let's see. And move that scroll bar. Okay, if I want to delete something like this, I can delete it here. Let's say I pick this one. Let's say I want to duplicate it. Now I got two. I can go backwards. I can go forwards. I can also move what's on top of what. So these are actually in layers. For example, I could take this one. See how it's behind that straight line? Now, if I want it in front, I can go this way and change where it is. So you have lots of options. Now, let's say we want to keep this. Go up here to File. If you want a brand new image, you can click Create New Image, and this will poof disappear. Let's say you have something on your desktop, on your computer, like a photograph, and you want to add it here. You can import it and bring it right in here, wherever you want on here. This one also has a bank. So remember the sign generator had a bank? This one has a bank too. So let's say I made something before, or Teddy did, and I want to add it here, or maybe even I had a blank canvas and I want to bring it here. I can import it from my bank. It will show up very small, but again, I can just stretch it to the size that I want. This one will save it to your bank. And remember, you'll have to name your file. This one will save it to your computer. So let's say we want to save this picture to the computer. I'm going to click here, and we have an option of different formats. These formats, you could then import it into like a PowerPoint or a Word doc or a Google Doc, doesn't matter. You can even import this into maybe like Adobe Photoshop if you want. Sometimes I work back and forth between the two pieces of software. So you can do that. It will save on your computer under the word image. And then of course you can go in and rename your file. Okay. So those are your options here. All right, let's go on to the next one. Excuse me. All right. Now we're going to go to My ASL Templates. So here you have a bunch of opportunities. You have 6 templates, right? You have finger spelling scramble, crossword puzzle, word search, sign-o cards, flashcards, and matching. Let me show you how they work. Let's say, for example, you want to make a finger spelling scramble for your students. You can click here. Let's see, maybe I just want to work with school words today. Now what happens is, okay, it's already sorted by school words here. I can search for a word here and it'll show it. Now I pick the word I want. If that's one of the words I want to show up scrambled, I can either click select and it goes into my selection box and it appears here scrambled, or I could just double click the words that I want and you see they'll show up. What the kids can do here is they can look at word number 1 and type or print here what they think that word is. Or if you want to make it easier, you can show them the words and then they can figure out which word matches which of these 6 options. Now, let's say, for example, you're working on that vocabulary list right here for the week, and you want to make papers for the kids every day. Okay, so this is Monday's paper. I'm going to print it, or I can save it as PDF and email, whatever I want. Now I want to do Tuesdays. It's going to take me 1 second. I'm going to click scramble again. The whole thing is scrambled. You're done. Print or save as PDF. Pretty easy. Okay, let's go back to the templates on the main menu and do the next one. Okay, this is the crossword puzzles. I'm going to access it now. Now let's see, maybe we'll do animal words. All right, I'm going to either again type the word I want. Let's go back to my elephant. Okay, or I can just double click. And you see I'm building a crossword puzzle really fast. Now, let's say, for example, you're working on specific curriculum or a book. You can write the quizzes, the clues here, and then that match what goes here. You have another option, and that is to put in sign clues. So the kids can look at the signs and figure out what word goes in here. Now, of course, when we print puzzle, they're not going to see the words. If you want to see the answers, you can do print answers. Now, again, let's say this is Monday's puzzle. You want to do one for Tuesday. Scramble again. Scramble again. You got a new puzzle every day, taking you 1 second to make for the kids. Let's show you another one. I'm going to go back to the main menu again, back to the templates. Now we're going to work on word search. Okay, let's see. Maybe we'll do technology words. Okay, same routine with picking words. I can type or just double click, and it's building really fast the words that the students will have to look for. And here are the words. Now you notice with a lot of these, you can do them with hearing students as well as deaf students. So if you have one of those hybrid classes, you can make puzzles for both of your students. So these are the words they have to look for. Or again, I could choose sign clues down here. So they would have to look for these words. I also can change the letters. Finger spelling. So I could do the finger spelling with the sign clues or the finger spelling with the word clues, any combination. And again, scramble again. Print, save as PDF. Another template to save you lots of time. Okay, let's go back to the templates. Have you ever made bingo cards for your students? Well, we have cards and we call them Sino instead of bingo. Let me show you how to make them. Let's do sports words this time. Okay, I'm going to make bingo cards here and choose words. Again, I can look here, let's see, football. So I could either type, I can double click. So in order to make one card, you have to have 25 words. Well, let's say we came up with our 25. I just put in 8 for now. So I can have a card with the signs, or I could use concept pictures or words. Now, let's say this is student number 1's card. We finished building. Again, I can print. I could save as PDF and email. Now, I want to do student number 2. Of course, that student has to have a different card. Scramble again, same procedure. Print or save as PDF. If you do PDF and you email, for example, you could even work in a Zoom meeting if you have students working remotely. Lots of possibilities. Another idea, see this ABC category? Did you ever play the game where they give you a bunch of letters and you have to come up with words? Well, you could do it here. Come up with the letters and the students have to come up with words from those letters. So you have another game. Let's go back now. Now there's several ways that you can make flashcards. So of course, you can always make them from the dictionary, but you also can make flashcards here. So let's say we want clothing. Same procedure here. I can type and find something, or just double click. Okay. So we have the pictures. This way, you have a bunch all set up on one piece of paper, and you can just cut across if you want them separate or leave them together. Say you want to send it home to the parents or give each student, this is your vocabulary for the week. You have a choice. You look here at the bottom. You can get rid of anything that you don't want on your flashcard. You can hide it. And of course, you can re-scramble the order. Okay. Now here's one last template. Okay, the last one is matching. And I know almost every teacher's done a matching worksheet for the student, where you have to draw the line between like the sign and the concept or the English word. Well, we're going to do it super fast. So let's say we're doing technology. Of course, one of my favorites. So I'm going to double click the words that I want. Okay, so there's the signs, there's the words, and the students have to draw the line, like download to the English word. Now here, you will notice at the bottom that the students are drawing a line from the sign to the word, but I can change it. For example, I could do the concept to the word. Of course, that would include your hearing kids too. You could use this, or I could do the sign to the concept. And again, same vocabulary, different worksheet. I'm just going to click scramble again, and you're done for the week in a few seconds. So you have lots of opportunities here to make little worksheets, puzzles for your students in a few seconds that they can use for individual work or homework or fun things to do during vacation. Now, let me show you a few other things. Now, I did step over the games. Let's go back to the games. What I just showed you with the templates are things that you print. The games are interactive. So let me show you. First of all, you remember we did the Sino print cards, but this is different. So this one, Sino, is video. So let's say we want to do colors. So the little girl will sign for you, and then you have to figure out what she signed. If you're right, then she will give you a smiley face. If you're wrong 2 times, she'll tell you you were wrong, try again. And if you're wrong 2 times, you get a sad face and you'll do it again. So that how that works. So you can work with all or a category. Then this one, concentration, maybe some of you remember the memory match game where you put a bunch of cards down and then you pull 2 over and you have to see if there's a match. And if there is, they stay up. And if they're not, they fold down and you have to remember where they were. Well, that's what this is. So this one you can play in 2 ways. I'm going to move me for a second. You can play with a 5x5 game board or a 3x3 game board, and you can play with all or any of the subcategories. So let's say I want home words here. So this is the 5x5 game board. So of course it's harder, probably too hard for the little ones or old people like me who can't remember anything anymore. Or to go back 3x3, same category home, and you can see it's a lot easier. So not a match, so they close down. So that's how you have to look for a match. No match, okay? If you get a match, you get a happy face. Now, I tell people that this is not curriculum. Okay, the purpose of this website is to support your curriculum, no matter what curriculum you have. And if you don't see a word in that big database that you need, all you have to do is let me know. And usually if I'm in my desk, I'll get it in within an hour. Okay, so you'll have your graphics within an hour. But there's one place where we do have curriculum, and that's here. I'm going to move me down for a second. Signing Science for Kids. So a lot of the apps here were funded through grants with the U.S. Department of Education, the National Science Foundation, the National Institute on Disability and Independent Living Rehabilitation Research. One of the grants we got from the U.S. Department of Education was National Science Foundation, was this one. And it was so successful that NOAA adopted part of it. And I thought we would take this curriculum, which is all about weather, and put it up on our website as well. So I'm just going to give you a little flavor for it. I would say the curriculum is good for middle, upper elementary. So you put in the student's name here. So let's put in Adam. Okay. I'm going to move me out of the way again. Now we go to the main menu. When you're ready for the video to start, you click here. This is Pause, the signing dog dressed as a scientist. Now there's audio on everything. You probably can't hear it because the mic situation here. And then there are 3 labs here. There are probably over 30 games here. There's tons of content, downloadable experiments. There's a dictionary. I'll give you just a little taste of it here. So there's Pause. This time he's a pilot. Now I want to go over to the cockpit. You notice that Adam is now the co-pilot. There's so many things I can do here. So I can click on weather report, for example, and Pause will sign information here. I can also choose different things. And anytime I want to see the ASL, I just click right here. So you see there's just tons of stuff here. So I'll let you experiment with this yourself. If you have any questions about it, you can just ask me. Let's see. So let me go back to the games here. And we have another game, Marvin Teaches Fingerspelling. The purpose of this one is to improve fingerspelling skills and also those receptive fingerspelling skills. So here you have several options. This one tells you how to operate the software. This one lets you learn fingerspelling. So I could click on any letter if you have someone who's new to fingerspelling. You also can create your list. Now here, the default is MySL Tech. I created another list before, list 1, but let's say I want to add a new list. I'm going to add a new list, and I'm going to call this list, list 2. And then I'm going to add some words. So I'm going to do my elephant again, because I'm working on animals this week, and animal, and donkey, and pigeon. Okay, now I want to save this to my bank in the cloud because it's storing just for me. I'm going to do save to bank. And it tells me the list was added successfully. Now, when I go back, I can choose, say I got my list one I made before, list 2, or the My ASL Tech. So I'm going to choose list 2. That's the list I want. And I'm going back to the menu. Notice the spelling list. It's telling me that list 2 is the one I'm going to work with. Now I want to practice. What happens is that Marvin finger spells very slowly, but you can change the speed. But if you're right, he'll go faster. If you're wrong, he'll go slower. So let's see. So remember, that's one of the words from my list. Now I'm going to check. I got it right. Now notice I can change the speed. You can go faster here. So let me go, let's go back. We're going to practice. Let's go faster. Now let's say I'm wrong. He lets me know when he goes slower. You also can test yourself here, and it'll test you with whatever list that you have. It'll give you your score for here and your score, that highest score you've ever achieved. So that's another game here. Now going back, let's see. Here's another one. Let me show you the thesaurus. You know that ASL is not a written language. Unlike our dictionary, we can put words in English alphabetic order. But sign language, there's no order unless you know the English correspondence. But years ago, there was a professor at Gallaudet University who said, you know, you can describe signs. And he called the units of description shiremes. So you know when you speak, the units of sound are called phonemes. Well, he called these shiremes after a Greek word. Now, one of these shiremes is like the hand shape, another's the location, another's the type of movement, and also the palm orientation. So we put those 4 shiremes, of course there are others like the speed, here, and you can actually find signs by describing them. Now this can be used to, if the student doesn't know the English word but knows the sign. You could also use this for ASL poetry, ABC 1, 2, 3 stories, all kinds of games. You probably are also on our mailing list. And if you're not, you don't have to be a member to be on the mailing list, but we send out once or twice a month lots of ideas for games, classroom activities. There's free things to download like puzzles and games and posters. So make sure you get on our mailing list. And some of the games we put on there relate to using this. So let's say I want to ask this app, you know, show me all the signs in the My ASL Tech database made with a 1 hand shape on both hands. Now you could have any combination, doesn't matter. But let's say, just to be efficient here, now here's the right hand. I'm going to look for that 1 hand shape on this menu. Here it is. I'm going to click. Now, because both are the same, I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to click search. Now it tells me that there are 368 signs in the database that have been coded that start with the 1 hand shape. Okay. Now, let's say we want to filter some more. Maybe we'll want to filter by location. For example, show me all the signs made with the one hand shape on both hands, but only in front of the body, not up here, like success. So I'm going to add a filter, which is the hand location. Again, the right hand, I'm going to look, got to move me again. Let's see. Let's scroll down here. Let's look for in front of the body. Let's see. Oh, right here. This is what I want. And I want both hands in front. Now I'm going to go again to search. And look, now we filter down to 95. Notice we don't have any of those above the head anymore. They're all in front. So I can continue and add the movement and the palm orientation, and it'll filter down to just about what you need. Hey, let's go over here to the stories. We have, over the years, created over 30 stories. These are original stories, and we've moved a lot of these stories online. They're for different age groups, mainly elementary. One of the grants we had gotten previously from the U.S. Department of Education was to develop a Deaf Hispanic Awareness series. So for that, I started looking for folk tales from Spanish-speaking countries. I found some and wrote them up in English, illustrated them, interpreted them into ASL, and also had them interpreted into Spanish and Mexican and Spanish with ASL. So if you look over here, I can click Access Now. So here are the 3 series. There are 3 here, and 4 here. So to see them, you can click Access Now. So the first screen you're going to see here, here's where you can see the stories with ASL in English, and here's where you can see them with ASL and Spanish. So the audio and the text are in the spoken language. So let's click ASL in English. Let's maybe do the bilingual cat. So I'm going to click here. The bilingual cat. A folk tale from Mexico. So when you're ready to change the screen, you just click right here. And what we like to do is give students time to digest the screen so they're not distracted with trying to look at the signing and look at the screen. And this is based on research that we did years ago, looking at best practices. And when they're ready, they can see the ASL. One day, a cat chased a mouse around the house. So you can see this particular story would be good for early elementary. So you've got 10 stories here to choose from. Now, another one here. This story is a cute story. And I would say this is good for middle elementary to middle school. And it's about a hearing boy who makes fun of a deaf boy in his class who has a cochlear implant. And the teacher gets angry at him and sends him to the resource room to think about his behavior. And when he's there, he falls asleep. And when he wakes up, he's on a deaf planet, and everyone around him looks different because people have changed to accommodate the fact that they're not using their ears anymore. And he's the special ed student. So while he's there, they befriend each other. And at one point, they run away to the library. Well, guess what? In the library, there are no books. And I wonder why. Each of these screens has questions that you can pose to your students. For example, the question that I just said, why would there be no books in a library? Sign language is not written. So what else might they use? So these are the kinds of questions that we pose to the students to help promote deeper kinds of thought other than superficial questions like who, what, where, what color. So that's another story. Over here, we have a whole series for very young children. So for this series, we created an entire town called Paws Town. So you remember Paws, the signing dog. And each of the stories in this town relates to a specific place that a deaf child might go, like a restaurant, a toy store, the library, the school bus. And what we tried to do was to create good English literature that incorporated elements of ASL and take place at these places that a deaf child might go. And also, we put in developmental skills that would be appropriate for young children, particularly deaf children. And a lot of the skills relate to processing both text and sign language. So they're visual developmental skills. So let me give you a little example here. So this one that I'm going to show you is called Menu Mix-Up. And it's about a little girl who goes to a restaurant and she says to the waitress says to her, here's Paws the signing dog again. What do you want to eat? Asked the waitress. Notice the signing's a little bit slower because it's for young children. So then the little girl gives a list of the foods she wants. So Chu Chin, who's the little girl, says, I want chicken, corn, apples, milk, and cake. So what happens in the story is the waitress goes out, she brings back the tray, but instead of chicken, she brings turkey. The little girl says, no, 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 I wanted chicken, not turkey. The waitress takes everything back, and every time she comes, she's confused one of the signs. So maybe one time instead of apple, she brings her an onion. Finally, the little girl gets so frustrated, she goes, never mind, just bring me a hamburger and French fries. So you see, we have a cute little story, but we've incorporated elements of ASL. So that's that series. We did some work in Morocco for 3 years. And one of the things that we did before we left was to leave behind an original story that was written by a friend of mine about a dromedary and his driver. And we translated it into Arabic and Moroccan Sign Language, but also into American Sign Language. So your students can see that here. We do a lot of work with the American Society for Deaf Children. And as you may know, they have on their website a section where they translate stories that are published. So these are copyrighted stories, not original stories. But if you want to jump over there really fast, all you have to do is click right here and boom, you're right over on their website. So that's another section. Now, you remember before I was telling you that you can get on our email list and we have lots of activities and freebies on there. And people are always coming back and saying, Corinne, could you send me this again? Could you send me that again? Well, you don't have to call. You just go over here to the library and access now, and you will see that it has the links for everything that we did before. So you can look by month, for example, October, look for all the Halloween activities and freebies, also by category, like Deaf Heritage Month. You can look for that. So check that out here. Described and Captioned Media is a free service from the U.S. Department of Education of captioned and described videos. They added a function a couple years ago where you can use their videos either in whole or in part to make lesson plans. They also added capability that you can go from their website over to ours, make print instructional materials and add them to their lesson plans. So you should definitely make sure that your students are members of this, and you can access to that section right here. Now, one of the things I've been trying to do over this past year is to go into our archives and look for videos that I have not yet had time to move into that database, which as of this moment is over 12,000, actually 12,300 and climbing. So as I'm finding these other videos, and before I can get them in the main database, you can find them over here as I identify them. So for example, I found over 1,700 idioms that are not in our main database. So if you want to access them here, you can do that. And here, for example, I could type them in, or I can just scroll. So remember, you can still download them right here. Okay. The next one I'm working on will be words. So that's the archives. Now, one thing I didn't show you yet is the quiz maker. So the quiz maker was funded by the Institute for Educational Sciences. And the reason that we developed it, and it was actually at the request of a teacher in Wisconsin, was because when you develop quizzes, it's hard to keep these sign language interpretation standard from class to class or student to student. So one way you can do it is through this app. Now, with the rosters, you remember about linking your banks with your colleagues. This particular app has 3 banks, and you can share those banks with your colleagues that you already set up in the other section. You also can set up your classes, and the reason for this is because when you develop quizzes with this tool, it will ultimately generate links for each of the students that you want to take the quiz. So you can set up your classes here, you can look at your students here, and you can manage your roster. So I'm going to click on classes, and I'm going to show the classes that I have. Now, notice you can also add a class, but here, I'm going to show classes. Now, I only have one class. I'm not really a classroom teacher anymore, but I did add a class, and I gave the class an ID, and I named my school system. I have the Ecstatic School System. The school name is Over the Moon, and my particular class is called Happy Kids. This was the school year. Now I can open up and look at my class. I can edit my class, and I can also add to the class. So let's just open it up, and you will see that I have 3 people in the class. Actually, these 2 are dogs and me. And you must give a student ID. Now, this can be anything. So I just put Over the Moon, OTM, number 1, number 2, number 3. You do not have to put your students' names in here. You do not have to put their emails in here if you're worried about confidentiality. But in truth, nobody sees this information but you. Okay, if I want to add a student to here, I can do that too. So that's your roster. Okay, now going back, if I want to create a quiz here, Now, remember I told you there are 3 banks with this? Okay, the first bank is every quiz that you ever developed and you finished. It will go in here. So I could, for example, take a quiz I made before and I can bring it back. Notice here, this quiz appears twice. Well, why? Because I gave it to 2 different classes. So you will notice over here, they're different times and dates. So I can actually pull up the statistics from each of those. Now, let's say I started building a quiz, but I didn't finish. I could go into this open quiz bank. So here I was doing one on elephants and I didn't finish. I could pull that up and finish it. Now remember, you can share these banks with other people. So you can actually develop quizzes together. For example, I was doing training one day and I had teachers in Canada who happened to be working on the same curriculum with another person in the training who was in Texas. I'm like, you guys could link up banks and develop quizzes for the curriculum together. And it would have the work. So let's say instead we want to start new. So let's pick a topic. Maybe we want to pick dogs, since my dog's sitting over here. Now, this is a required field. You have to name this quiz. This is totally optional. I could say this is first quiz of animals unit. Okay, now this is instructions that you want to give to your students at the beginning of the quiz. You put at the top. Again, you don't have to do it, totally optional. But let's put something in. Now, when I click, it'll show some things I used before if I just want to use them again, or you can type something new. Let's say I want to use this one. I'm just going to use this one again. Now, I can add signs to this. So let's say I just highlight here. I'm going to right click, copy. I'm going to click add signs and poof, I'm over in the sign generator. Click, right click, paste, generate. Now, again, I can change this up. Let's say I don't want this and I don't want that. And maybe this, I want that. And I want to hide this. So maybe that's how I want it to appear. I could also generate a video. Okay, so I have options. Now, if I want to keep the video and the graphic, I click save. And what happens is this tells me where the graphic resides on the internet, and this is the video. Again, totally optional. You don't have to do this. You have other options. For example, let's say you have a graphic, maybe of a dog, and you want that at the front, of your quiz. You could add that here. You also can create your own YouTube video of yourself signing, and I recommend that if the instructions are complex, and you can put the link in here. You also, if you want, you can put the student's grade. Maybe this is going to be 3rd grade, and the subject, let's put animals. Now, this is required, how many points this quiz is going to be worth. So let's say it's a little pop quiz and I just want 3 points. Here, okay, so remember that was required. This one you can put your grading scale. So it could be anything you want. 3 is A, 2 is B, 1 is C, 0 is fail, pass, fail, whatever you want. You can put that in here. Now, remember I told you that it was going to generate links for each of your students. Now, the students can't take the quiz until you give them their link, and you can give them their link any way you want. But what you must fill out here is when that link is going to disappear from the internet and they can't take the quiz anymore. So if you click here, You can select the date and also the time. So maybe 8 o'clock in the morning, I want it to disappear on the 28th. Now here, this you have to do too. This is the duration. So once they click and open it, this is how long it will stay open on the internet till it just shuts down. So let's say 3 questions, I'm just going to give them 15 minutes, and then I click continue. What happens is this gives you all the information that you did before. If this is okay, the way that you set it up, you can click next. If you want to change anything here, you can click edit. Let's click next. Okay, now we're at the point where we can build our questions. Now remember I said there were 3 banks. So we had the published bank, we have the open quiz bank, which are the ones we're still working on, but we also have a bank of every question we've ever used. So say, for example, we were doing pop quizzes every Friday, and then we get to the end of the semester, and we want to pick one question from each of those pop quizzes. Okay. I could go into my question bank and pull something I did before. So let's do dogs or reptiles. And we'll give this, I'm going to use that question again. I'm going to give this 1 point and I'm going to publish the question. Okay, it's going to double check everything I did before. There's that question again. I can open it, edit it, or delete it. Now, notice here, I've got 1 out of the 3-point total I need. So I'm going to click next, and it takes me back up to that build a question page. So I can pick something I did before or build something new. If I want to make a new quiz, I could, new question, I'm sorry. I have 6 different kinds that I can choose from. True, false, multiple choice, essay, short answer, fill in the blank, or fill in the blank where I give the options. So let's do a true, false to make it easy. And let's put dogs like bugs. Now, again, I can add the signs like we did with the sign generator, same procedure, copy, paste, or I could even type it in. And this would be the sign, the video. I can add my own graphics. I can add a YouTube video if I want. And then I can tell this whether the answer is true or false. So let's say this one is going to be worth 2 points. So remember before, the other question was worth 1. This is worth 2. I'm going to publish my question. Now here it tells me I've got that 3 points out of 3. And now this is shown up. I can publish my quiz because I got 3 out of 3. Again, I can edit if I want, but it's ready to publish. And when I click publish, everything I did before, here's the questions, everything from the opening page, this quiz is published. So now it's going to go in that published quiz bank. I can assign it to my students. So I click here. Now remember, I just had 1 class, my Happy Kids class, but you may have multiple classes that you created, okay, under here. But if I click the class I have, now here are those 3 students, OTM 1, 2, and 3. I can assign it to just 1 or all of them. 1, 2, or all. I'm going to assign it to all of them, and I'm going to click assign to students. Again, everything gets verified. Now you will notice here are the 3 students, and the status is it's assigned. These are the links. They're individual for each of those students. So what happens is you can take that link and give it to them any way you want. After they take the quiz, it will show up here as returned. The status will change. You can click the new link, open it up, and see what they did on their quiz. After you finish marking it, putting in your comments, and you click that you're done, this will change to graded. Then you can take the new link and give them the new link so they can see their grades and your comments. So that's how that works. There's another section here, statistical analyses, where you can look at scores by individual students and also all the scores on a particular quiz. This information is never shared with anyone. So even though you may be sharing your banks with other people, they never see your student statistics. Okay, so that's another section. So that is pretty much how this works. Okay, so you've got lots of apps, lots of graphics, lots of videos to play with. If you want to know more information about how to become a member, you can go into the store over here. And right here are the memberships. Click there, and you have options of trying it out for 2 weeks for just $2, getting an individual membership, a child's membership, small group membership, or a large group membership. And any of these memberships you can get for a single month, 6 months, or 12 months. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. The whole purpose of this website is to help make life easier on you, and anything we can do to help achieve that, we're there for you. Thanks so much. Bye.